Today's video is part of the Rocket City Reason interview series. Now, while this creator may not necessarily be joining us in person at Rocket City Reason this year, their work perfectly embodies what we're celebrating. Rocket City Reason is dedicated to building the online creator community into the forefront of a powerful movement by highlighting positive, activist role models who deserve to be recognized and celebrated within our space. This October 23rd through 25th, 2026, join our keynote speakers Seth Andrews, Erica Gutsick Gibbon, Forrest Valkai, and 14 other influential online creators for an unforgettable conference experience. Whether you're a content creator, activist, or simply passionate about making a difference, this is your moment to connect, learn, and grow. Visit RocketCityReason.com to buy your tickets today. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless engineer, and typically I am analyzing apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. But today we are highlighting a creator in the online space here. We've got Again Atheist. Again, how you doing tonight?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting. I love your channel. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on. I've seen you going live for a while now, and I really enjoy, the energy you bring to your live streams and how you interact with people, which we'll talk about that here near the end of the interview today. But, the interviews that I do, I typically want to know more about the creator, how religion played into their lives growing up and how they deconstructed, like what was essential to their deconstruction story, what was the straw that broke the camel's back, as it were, things of that nature. And so I'm wondering if we could start off by you just sort of, talking yourself up a little bit, tell everybody, who you are, where they can find you and everything like that. And then maybe tell us, how religion started off, like for you in your life, like as a child, or maybe farther along in your life. Just what did that look like for you?
Well, hello. I'm the Born Again Atheist. I've been doing, we just hit our 1 year mark on having a social media platform like a couple months ago. So it's been fabulous. I'm on all streaming platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, a couple others, but I am a streamer on TikTok. That is my primary platform that I like to be on. I'm there every night for like 6 to 8 hours a night, and I'm the night shift. So I'm like, I think I'm, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we go until like the sun starts to come up. So it's kind of crazy. I'm a 1v1 debate. Sometimes I bring up 2 mogs. A mog is a man of God. Sometimes I bring up 2 at once because I get bored with just one. And I love screaming at men of God. It's my favorite hobby. So it's fabulous. And one of the reasons why I love screaming at men of God is because I was a little indoctrinated, little Christian. 27 years of my life, I was in full-time Christian service, and I was in a Christian school. So I would average like 14 hours a day in the church for 27 years. I was there every waking second of the day. When I would go to Christian school, my cult, I was at a cult. It was called the Independent Fundamental Baptist Cult. There's even a documentary out about us because it was that intense. It's called Let Us Pray, Prey, a Scandal in Ministries. They had a Christian school and they had church service every single night. So I was there like 14 hours a day. I would get there at like 7:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave till sometimes 11 p.m. at night every day. So that was just my life basically until I was 18. And then when I left that cult, I joined a bunch of other ones, which is fun. Apostolic Pentecostal for a little while. You can't cut your hair. You can't wear nail polish, work jewelry. That was intense. You have to run around and scream like you're possessed all the time. That was intense. Did that for a little while. And then I went to like the less obvious cults, like regular Baptist and non-denominational, which in my opinion are still very culty. It just looks less culty because, you can wear ripped jeans and have dyed hair, right? So did that. And I worked at a Christian school when I was an adult, and then I would have ministries every single night that I would be a part of. So religion was the only thing my life was consumed with. That lasted until I was like 27. And what's funny is I was so addicted to going to church and being in ministry that it's kind of like a bad relationship. They had to break up with me. I wouldn't have broken up with them. So I got into a situation where my worship leader wanted to do some inappropriate stuff with me, and I was like, "Whoa, not interested," right? And he was so jealous that he kicked me off the team that I had been serving on for like 6 years, with him for 6 years. And when I told his boss, the boss said, "Get out! You're done." So they actually physically kicked me out of the church, and that was the thing that made me go, maybe I need to like reevaluate everything. And that kind of put me in a position where I was like, you know what, like church, I'm so addicted to going. I'm so addicted to ministry. I'm so addicted to religious ideology. I just need to take a break. And so I decided to go back to college because, assignments are due like on Saturdays and Sundays. So I said, I'm going to go back to college, get my degree, and I'll put church on the back burner for the first time in my life. And that was ultimately the reason why I became an atheist. There was a couple pivotal moments where it like solidified my atheism, but like basically not being indoctrinated every day and going and getting an education, learning how to learn, and reevaluating all of the harmful ideologies I was taught, or all the scientific inconsistencies that are mentioned in the Bible versus what science actually tells us today. That was a big part of why I became an atheist. It was an accident.
Wow. I'm, interesting that you came from the NIFB, cult thing, because I actually, the reason why I say that that's interesting is because, a bunch of my friends and I, back in, I believe it was 2019, we actually put forth a concerted effort to disrupt the funding streams for a bunch of the NIFB churches. And we successfully got a few like of their PayPals taken down and everything like that. And
Wait, really? Wait, so mine was Independent Fundamental Baptist. What is the NIFB? Is it just new?
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like how sex happens, or how they do. They the one a group of people like get pissed off at one of the pastors, and so they break off and make their own new thing. And so like the NIFB is the new Independent Fundamentalist Baptist, and basically they just
are crazy. They're like really crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so when you talked about the IFB and everything, that reminded me of that. And I'm actually, I need to write that down.
Cool. Yeah.
The Let Us Pray. I think that I've seen that documentary on one of the streaming services, but I think that's on our watch list. So we'll have to move that up because we're totally interested in that. We watched there was one, Sins of the Amish, which is about sexual abuse in the Amish community. So we'll definitely have to check that one out. But that seems like kind of a crazy journey that you've had. So you grew up as an Independent Fundamentalist Baptist, and
Amen.
Yeah,
glory to God.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time in that, and I just. How did you spend so much time in the church? Like, what did that look like, for you?
How did I spend? Well, when you're under 18 and your parents are the ones making you go, right, by default, we were totally, oh my gosh, as kids, they had us working 24/7. We never earned a dime. It was crazy. IFB is fucking intense. In case, sorry, can I not cuss? I don't know.
No, trust me, you're fine on here.
Okay.
Do you know who Ray Comfort is?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I nearly made him vomit. So, I mean, I think that you're fine with whatever you say.
Okay. That's funny. Oh my God. Independent Fundamental Baptist. I didn't really go into it because I was just kind of giving a speed run of why I became an atheist. I'll go really quick. It is a really high controlled religion. It's very cult like. It is a cult. They control what you wear. Women have to wear skirts to the floor. We can't we can't dye our hair. We can't wear nail polish. We can't listen to secular music. It has to be church music, and you can't listen to any church music that has drums in it. It has to be like straight up hymns. when you're at church, they'll grab your phone and they'll sit there and they'll go through all your apps to monitor everything you're doing. You have to sign contracts that say you won't go to certain stores in the mall, you won't go to the movie theater, you'll abstain from watching any type of like secular movie. You have to ask the pastor / principal if you wanted to like have a sleepover, and they had to approve it. You had to like let them know what you're doing on the weekends, if you're going on vacation. It's very controlled. So the reason why I was there all the time is because it's that kind of environment that's very high pressure that forces you to be there. And then if you were to miss God one fucking service, they would all stalk you, blowing up your phone. When they see you in person, they would bombard you and say, where the heck have you been? What were you doing last night? It's very, very, very intense. So I was kind of forced to do that for 18 years. And then, like a lot of Christians do, this is kind of what I've noticed as I was going through deconstruction. A lot of people that are in high controlled religion, like the IFB, which is really freaking intense, and it's very violent. The men of God, I call them Mogs. The Mogs are very aggressive and they scream at the top of their lungs till their faces turn purple and you could see the veins popping out of their neck, and they bang on the pulpit so hard that it leaves indents in the wood. So they're very aggressive and intense, and that is the way they preach. So when you jump to a new denomination, it truly, like, you truly feel the love of Jesus because, hey, I'm not getting screamed at about wearing pants, right? I'm not getting yelled at and my phone grabbed out of my hand and asked if I was being a s'more last night. That's what I call it. It's way less intense. So you go, oh, this is Jesus. This is freedom. This is free from condemnation. So then when I was denomination hopping, I've done it a lot. I've done 4 denominations all throughout my life that I was heavily involved in. And so each denomination hop, I was like, this is the love of Christ. This is the peace that passes all understanding. It's like, no, this is just not like a psychotic cult that controls and monitors every breath you've ever taken. So I kind of that was part of my deconstruction journey, was attending a bunch of different denominations and seeing which one fit me the most. And basically non-denominational megachurch felt the most normal to me. But after I left that one, I was like, no, they all suck. They all suck. They just all are wearing different clothes, but they all suck. They all push the same harmful ideology, anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric, disgusting anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric, very oppressive to women, very controlling in what you do in your everyday life. It's all the same shit. They all just wear different clothes, in my opinion. So I kind of learned that the long way. I'm very much like a pursuer of knowledge, and I like to figure out things for myself. And then when I do, I really go all in. Obviously, I did 14 hours a day and now I'm an atheist and I debate every night. So that's just kind of my personality. But yeah, I would say that's kind of what I've observed through my time.
So for the independent fundamentalist Baptists, do they differ much? Because I have experience with like Southern Baptists and non-denominational churches and whatnot in my own past. But I'm wondering how, as far as the beliefs go, I know that you kind of covered some of the more stricter, I guess dress and other kind of behavior stuff. But I'm wondering the theology of independent fundamentalist Baptists. Like what kind of like I guess characterizes that particular group?
They are strictly King James Version. They believe John 1:1 that in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Everything in the Bible is breathed by God. Everything in there is there and it's supposed to be there and nothing contradicts, and it is the perfect word of God. They believe in the Romans road, once saved, always saved, and they heavily pushed witnessing and winning souls to Christ. We had soul winning. We call it soul winning when you go out and evangelize and win people to Christ a bunch of times a week. So I would be the door knockers. I'd be the annoying door knockers. I'm surprised I didn't get kidnapped because they would send me out with me and my other 14-year-old friend at 9:00 at night, just knocking on people's doors. So it was heavy in the winning souls, heavy in the King James Version, heavy in the controlling aspect. When the Bible says, "Don't be the light," or "We are the light of the world. We are separate from the world." They'll see Christ's light shine through you. Don't be of the world, be the light of the world. That is why they heavily pushed dress code and the music we listened to and the places we went, because we're not supposed to be of the world. Even though we exist in it, we're not supposed to be of it. So there was a high separation of like, we are different than them. We are separate from them. And they were so strict on their doctrine that other denominations they would isolate us from. So Catholics going to hell, straight to hell. Catholics, other denominations like Apostolic, Pentecostal, truck you, hell. They were very much like, we are the right way, and that's it. There is no exceptions. If somebody doesn't look like us, truck you. If they don't believe like us, truck you. It's intense. It was heavy also on the child abuse, because they super believed in the hierarchy of authority. God, Jesus, man, woman, slaves, kids. They definitely let us know that kids were at the bottom, and they definitely let us know that women were under men in authority, and they definitely let us know men were at the top. So heavy on the umbrella of authority, heavy on salvation. They did baptisms, but ironically, Apostolic Pentecostal, which I was a part of, believes that baptism saves you, but IFB doesn't believe baptism saves you, which is kind of ironic because their name.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that. And they're very, very aggressive. Not that that matters, but that's just my own little spin. Also,
yeah.
In the Let Us Pray documentary, trigger warning on the child abuse. It is like recorded as one of the most traumatic documentaries regarding child abuse and SA and stuff. So it's really like, probably because of the heavy push of purity culture and all of that garbage is probably what led to like a lot of child abuse and a lot of SA in that realm, which is really disturbing. So it's intense. It's very intense.
Yeah. I get that. I'd imagine in high control cults, my general experience is that there's like a lot of that kind of abuse that's going on there, which makes me ask the question. I was live with the Talk Heathen account today when we were recording this, and had a guy come up who was trying to make it sound like the hierarchy of the family thing was not abusive whatsoever, and that it actually promotes like some kind of equality. I'm wondering, what is your take on that kind of like apologetic? Because it seems definitely like they're trying to sanitize that kind of hierarchy there, and I'm just kind of wondering what your reaction is to that.
I was screaming laughing when that mother trucker said, women love being oppressed. I was like, shut the hell up, dude. You're so annoying. It's not fucking true. And by the way, I got to hype you up a little bit. I was listening to the debate he's referencing, Godless is referencing. The points you made on like why the happiness rate, quote unquote, would seem higher when women were more oppressed. And the way you tackled that was just spectacular. About like when we had zero rights, like, of course, less women were reporting, SA and things like that. So you did phenomenal on that. It was very, I was like, yeah, get him, mother trucker. The hierarchy though, like men do such... They have such a way to like gaslight the situation. And I hear this a million times every night. Oh, like, yeah, it's the umbrella of authority, but it's not like, just because we completely rule over you, we are your authority and you submit to us. It's not like you're less than us. And it's like a boss who makes, 200,000 tells somebody who's making 18 or 7 an hour, 10 an hour. Oh no, you're just as valuable to the company. It's just like, shut the hell up, dude. Shut the hell up. If the roles were reversed, that's what I always try to get them to say. If the roles were reversed, you wouldn't like it, mother trucker. You would not like to be told to shut the hell up. And a big way I tackle that ridiculous thing that Mogs say all the time, I look up the definition of submission, which is submitting to the will or authority of another person. And then I look up the definition of authority, and it's like to enforce strict obedience and to like not be able to have autonomy for the other person. The person has to listen to you because it's enforced obedience. And I'm like, you would not like it if that's the dynamic. And to be honest, statistics shows us that when people have access to equity and equality, equality with rights, like equity with resources, the society flourishes. It does amazing. Crime goes down, the happiness rate goes up, depression goes down, suicidal ideation goes down. And so it does better for society when we all have access to equity and equality. So when they say that shit, they're just wrong. And it's just so funny. Oh my God. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, that's I was trying to hammer that home, but he kept going and going about the same points, and he was like, well, what if I decide to interpret that that's good? It's like, okay, well then that would be incoherent, so that doesn't actually mean anything.
It cracked me up. I was hyping you up. It was a great conversation, and he absolutely was he doesn't know what the hell he was talking about. If it was the other way around, that bro would not have liked that dynamic. He would not want to fucking submit to the will of a woman. Are you kidding me? So anyway, yeah, that cracked me up. The hierarchy of authority is the quickest way to create an abusive cycle. And so you brought up the Amish. I mean, there's dozens of documentaries regarding religious cults, and they all have the hierarchy in common. Men are at the top, women are in the middle, kids are at the bottom. And that's why we see so much fucking abuse running rampant through these religious institutions, because they don't have HR. And if they do, they're a joke. They don't have proper vetting processes, and they have no oversight. So everybody's just doing all this shit. When you mix purity culture and the hierarchy in, of course shit's going to go down. Like, fucking duh. Of course it's going to happen. So it's insane that people don't see the harm in that. Hello?
Yeah. Now, I know personally from my own experience that me being, cishet white male in these kinds of religious spaces, I get a very different sort of view of things, like a very different experience. And I guess just, do you find that that's incredibly true? Like, from your diverse religious background, do you see like that there's a heavy difference in between, how women are treated in those particular groups and how men are, and how that can affect, like, I guess maybe the ability of the men to really see the harm in it? Because I get it. I'm born and raised North Alabama. So like I had to fight through a lot of like misogyny.
Intense. Yeah.
But I'm wondering if you've seen that in your, your vast religious background, the differences like highlighted between the experiences of men versus the experiences of women.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh my God. I tell people all the time, no, your channels are very successful. You're popping off. You've been doing this a while, and your stuff's great. So you're thriving in this realm. But I tell people all the time, when I see men who are in deconstruction, kind of starting out, I'm always like, come on, bro, why? You can be a god in your religion. Why would you jump to deconstruction? I say it all the time. Because I'm like, as a man, oh my God, as a man, I'd probably be a piece of shit. I'd probably be a motherfucking pastor. I'd probably be ruling the churches. I just know my personality. So as a woman, so when guys say all the time, oh yeah, I'm a piece of shit and I've never read the Bible and I've been in and out of jail and I'm on drugs and I'm on all this stuff, but like God forgives me. I was like, well, no fucking shit, you like God, because you're considered a god in that religion. You can be a piece of shit. You can touch people without their permission. You can be a loser. You can do nothing with your life, or you can spend your life causing harm to people. And God says, come to me, those who are, who need rest. I will, whatever. It makes sense, like why men would want to be a part of that religion. You're literally a freaking god, and you don't need to be qualified. You don't need to go to school. You don't need to do anything special. You don't need to be charming. You don't need to do any of these things. You can just exist as a man, and you will get more respect than a woman who's gone to seminary or has a degree in theology, or who's just been a part of the church like me for 27 years, 14 hours a day. And you will be more respected than I could ever be. And it's ridiculous because churches do such a freaking... This is where I wish people can observe religion from an aerial point of view. churches the IFB did say women are less important multiple times. They were very blunt. But these other churches, they do a good way of like tricking you, especially the non-denominational church that I was a part of. They do a good way of like not directly outright saying women suck, right? Like we don't like them. But like their behaviors show that. So multiple churches I've been to. There was a guy in my mega church, that the one I got kicked out of, who assaulted like 5 different women. And every time he assaulted, and he was a part of the young adult ministry. He was like the head of the young adult church. And it's a mega church. There was like a couple hundred young adults, and he was just essaying girls. He was like touching them and assaulting them. They would give him 1 month off. Every time he did it, 1 month off of being in charge of the young adult, and then they would bring him right back. It would happen 5 times. And the only reason why they kicked him out the 5th time is because he ended up doing it to the pastor's daughter, which is insane. So 1 month off, and that's it. And multiple, and there's dozens of other stories of this happening to girls, and it just sucks. But I'll just use mine. My worship leader wanted me to truck him, and I said, no, I'm not interested. And you're married, and I would never be interested. And then they just kicked me out, right? Because they took his, feelings over my no. And that's happened a million times. I've had guys do horrible things to me. And then when I turned them in, they punished me. They would demote me and they would move me to different campuses so they wouldn't have to punish the guy. I mean, this is just how that hierarchy structure is set up. So when you have men at the top and they're important, you're just less important. And you don't need the pastor screaming women suck for you to be able to see that the environment is super unequal and super unfair. And people say all the time to me, oh, you're just mad that you didn't get to be a leader. It's like, it's not that. It's like men can grape women and they'll still be in charge and treated like a god. And women could just look the wrong way and then be severely punished or not believed when something really bad happens, Happened so many times to me and many women that I've known. So there is a clear difference in the way men are treated versus women. A lot of times with women, we have the spirit of Jezebel when we do something wrong. Or not even wrong, like fucking just look the wrong way. Oh, spirit of Jezebel. Oh, you're evil, spirit of Jezebel. I've been told that a billion times in my life. When men fucking grape women or rape women or touch them or assault them, it's always, we got to pray for him. The devil's on him really strong. They still can find a way to victimize the man. Whereas a woman she just has an opinion and she's a Jezebel spirit and she's evil. And a man, rapes a woman and he's a victim of the devil. It's just, even the way we talk about these things, like purity culture, it's the girls. I've been told since I was a little girl, it is my job, right, to keep the men from not lusting. So like here, I have here, this is a part of the IFB. When I was 14, they made me sign a pledge. What does it say? Today I give my body to God and I will stay pure for the man I marry. And I was 14 when they made me make the purity pledge. And so there's this heavy emphasis on like, it's my job to keep men from not staring. It's my job to keep men from being off of me. And if a man decides to grab a woman or a little girl without, girls can't consent, but like, with non-consent, then it's on the girl. They should have covered up better, right? And so just having that kind of like insane mindset, it's just you are going to create abuse. That is how you create abuse. And so one thing that pisses me off too is when people say, they're not true Christians. They're not real Christians. And that's why they did something bad. No, the system is what creates these fucking monsters, in my opinion. Yeah, monsters can crawl in, right? Because they see there's a room full of vulnerable people and there's no checks and balances. But I also think religion as a whole, this Abrahamic religion, creates these types of abusers as well. Anyway, that's just my little my little petty rant. My petty grievance.
No, I don't consider it petty at all. But you talking about the purity culture thing and that the little pledge that you had to sign there. It reminds me of how creepy the purity culture stuff is, because I don't know if you had seen, there was like a news article some time ago about how there was this one group or something like that had the daughters like marry the fathers,
Yeah.
and like the fathers were considered to be, I guess, the keepers of the daughters or whatnot for that time, and
Yeah.
it just always came across as really creepy.
They called it a
Like,
purity ball.
oh, purity balls, yes.
Yeah.
I forgot what they
They
were
would
called,
literally
but yeah,
dress up. They literally dress up, and they even take wedding pictures. I don't know if you could see that. They
yeah,
even like pose like couples, like they would for a wedding. These are fathers and daughters. And then they would have them, chant around um a cross, and it's some freaky motherfucking shit. And so like when bitches want to say drag queens ruining the kids, I'm like, bitch, your fucking cult is having dads marry their daughters. Are you fucking kidding me? And they have to sign, I won't bang anybody until I find a husband, in front of their dads, and their dads have to sign next to, I won't bang anybody. Come the fuck on. Tell me that's not some freaky shit. Wow, they're not
yeah.
true Christians. Shut up. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You're the lukewarm bitch. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. It's insane.
No,
it's insane. I'm so tired of like this like fear mongering on the internet. And it's like, do you guys know what the fuck is going on in your Jesus movement? Holy shit. This is freaky shit.
I'm kind of curious, is because I've heard you say it a couple of times. And I know that this is kind of a thing in your lives, is the trucking whenever you want to say fucking. And I'm wondering, is that like a holdover from like your time deep in the religious sort of sects or whatnot, or is that like an inside joke?
That's funny. I like that. Probably a lot of things I do are like a little bit of like my Sunday school teacher coded kind of mindset. But no, my first TikTok account got banned at 22,000 followers because when I would go live, it would get shut down every time. A lot of things contribute to that. There was actually a Christian that you have a YouTube video on. His name's, I think it's Cole. He's
Cool.
cringe. Oh my God, he makes me want to vomit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He big Christian influencers like that. So I started doing I've had a lot of crazy motherfucking conversations with Christians, being a part of it. 14 hours a day, 27 years. So I started doing that's how I started my channel. I did reenactments of real conversations I had with Christians. Big influencers like Cole and John Steele. Maybe that was John Steele. Anyway, all these big influencers would react to my video, send a bunch of 12-year-olds to my live, and then get my live mass reported, and my live got taken down so many times that my account got banned. And so I had to restart. And then I decided I'm not going to make content for them to benefit off of it, because that kind of pissed me off that they were taking my ideas and making content off of it, money off of it, and getting my account banned. I said, I'm just going to do lives, and then whatever I post on my channel are going to be fucking psycho Christians, and I'll let them speak for themselves. So I said, rather, because every video they were like, $1 million for this story's made up. And I said, fine, bitch, you don't think they're crazy? Then I'm going to show you crazy. I'm going to fucking debate Loco and the Cabeza people, and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to let their words speak for themselves. Like how you said we're going to talk about later. I want people to see how freaking psychotic, sorry, I don't know if I could say all this, how freaking Loco and the Cabeza religion can make your brain. How it can just put things in your mind that turn you into like a wild person, right? With wild thoughts. And so rather than reenacting conversations I had, because everybody thought I was lying, I just debate people and let them speak for themselves. And so those influencers all of a sudden don't come and debate me now. They don't debate me live. They only have things to say about my pre-recorded stuff. So yeah, those influencers pissed me off. I don't remember what I was ranting about, but truck them. Oh, the truck. The truck. That's what it was. There it is. That's funny. So I started being very careful. I got banned, and I wrote down like what did I say right before I got banned, or what did I do? And then I kind of realized, as a female, a cis woman, a straight cis woman, not that I think that's relevant, but a straight cis woman debater who screams at men every single night, I have to like be really careful on what I say, because I'm already going to piss off dudes, and dudes are more likely to get like really angry at me just because I'm a woman. And I noticed like I've been going to men's debates forever, and people just don't get mad at men, even if men are like, you're a blah, 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 blah. Nobody is actually mad. People are like, haha, that's hilarious. Even the guests are like, you're charming. Right. And so for me, I get threatened all the time. People threaten to, rape me or kill me or torture me. It happens all the time. And so I have to like really censor myself. So if TikTok does flag me, which they do a lot, I don't actually say something that they can get me in trouble for. So that's where all of the trucking, heavy censorship, I say unalive, grape, self-unalivement, trucker. I say all of these things, schmidiot. I add an SH in front of everything, because I was getting in trouble all the time because men just get really upset with me, as they should. And I just realized, as a woman, this is just a problem I'm just going to continue to have.
Now that you mention it, I do have to say that is a large disparity in the TikTok space, because, I've seen, what was it, Ian, as well as Justin Deconstruction Zone, which I like both of those guys, but like they have no problem saying a lot of the things that I'm like, are they supposed to be saying that?
Oh, and I get so jealous when I listen to them. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah,
100%.
I've pretty much whenever I'm on TikTok, I have to like do a manual switch in my brain, and I have to do the things that you do. And
I had to switch coming on your channel. I was like, don't embarrass yourself. Don't say unalive or grape. I don't know, because I guess it's YouTube and some other places. So I also had to do that switch.
Yeah. But that's a huge disparity, I think, between, creators which it took me, let me see if I can get this right. I think I get my lives taken down 3 times, like pretty much in a row, because I said dick. And apparently that is not like kosher to say on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I call it a chain.
A shade. That's good. No, so no, there was one time I was talking about, I'm a mythicist. So I was talking about like the quality of evidence and everything like that with this guy. And so I'm like, well, I could just say that there's a big dick Godzilla that walks around Jerusalem, and, you don't have any evidence for that. And so like he went on this long diatribe where I think that he said dick about 17 times. And then directly after that, I got banned. And
damn it. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah. And so like I've had to, whenever I've had to change my examples up a little bit, because I don't know why my brain goes to like a big dick Godzilla or something like that. But I feel like
sense.
putting, does it?
It makes perfect sense.
Well, I feel like that's kind of like one of those uncomfortable things that religious people, like when you confront them with that kind of thing, like they immediately go, ugh. It's like, okay, why are you ing this? Like, I don't know. I like the shock value in that kind of reaction.
Yeah. 100%. That's too bad. Yeah. I got my account taken down for a week, a couple weeks ago, because I said January 6th was not peaceful. And then it said misinformation. And I said, oh, great. So now another thing I have to worry about, pissing off Christians and worshiping our hamburger helper. We call him hamburger helper. We had to give him a new name because we still want to talk shit, but we don't want to get in trouble. So
right.
We call him hamburger helper. But damn, that sucks. Yeah. We just call him, so something in the Christian world that is very fucking weird is there's a huge like normalization around watching corn or porn. Men, that's like their claim to fame is, I'm a porn watcher. I used to watch porn last week, and then now I stopped because I said sorry. They love talking about it. That's their favorite testimony to share. I can't tell you how many fucking dudes I have heard on a goddamn microphone tell me that he touched himself last night, and it like pisses me off, right? And so a big part of like my way to kind of embarrass them, which I know we're probably going to get to that a little in a minute, but we call them chain yankers because I was like saying like the word that starts with M is a little uncomfortable. It makes everybody kind of uncomfortable, right? And I want people to enjoy mocking them without feeling a little uncomfy. So we call them chain yankers. We have a whole song and everything. And that's a fun way for me to embarrass them and to avoid getting in trouble.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Sorry, my ADHD is really getting me right now. But so getting back to your deconstruction, I did want to ask, like, was I know that you kind of covered this a little bit in the very beginning, but what was there anything that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, or anything that really kind of like, was that click for you that I guess swayed you away from like your religious affiliations?
So, I used to be really into conspiracy theories, and it started very minor, like, the concept. I never believed in Bigfoot, but the idea that like Roswell had a spacecraft landing, and then Bigfoot. I was really addicted to watching Bigfoot stuff and Ghost and different things like that. And honestly, that was really bad because I had done that for so many years that, like, I don't know if you've heard of QAnon. When QAnon jumped into the scene, and that was like a heavy conspiracy theory realm that really fucking that's why Trump won, is because of QAnon, which is so insane. If nothing nefarious went on anyway. Me loving the idea of conspiracy theories was the gateway into me accidentally slipping into QAnon. And it's really embarrassing to say, but by 2021, there's a pyramid of conspiracy theory, 300 conspiracy theories that you could engage in. I counted them. This is embarrassing. I engaged in like 298 of them. It was really bad. Basically, the only ones I didn't believe in were lizard people and flat Earth. I just said that doesn't really sound real, but like everything else, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, which is really embarrassing. Because of that, I got heavily swindled by Trump being the savior of the world and sent by God, and and I did. I didn't vote for him in 2016, but I got tricked between 2016 and 2020. Thank heavens it did it, or thank hell it didn't matter for 2020 because Biden won. But I did believe in it. Jan 6, all the conspiracy theories around that I believed in. QAnon, which is a lot of like sex trafficking conspiracy theories and all this stuff. I don't even want to bring it up because I don't want to get your thing in trouble, but I really believed it. Everything that they said, it made sense to me. And then I got very lucky because I met a man in the church who's now my atheist fiance, but I met a man in the church who was so leftist, so progressive, always supportive of the rainbow community, women's rights, the intellectual disability community, that when we started becoming friends, he started slowly trying to deprogram me. And he looked it up. He looked up on the internet, and the internet he said, can you deprogram somebody from QAnon? And the internet just said, no, it's impossible. He was like, okay, I still love her, right? So I'm just going to make it work. But, and basically with all of his like knowledge, there was a conspiracy theory about post-birth abortions, about how babies are being, or just wrecked on the table right after they're born. I told him, and I said, can you believe the liberals are doing this? And it took him looking up on his phone, and he said, let's look it up in California. And their like latest term abortion wasn't even close to birth. New Mexico had like the most lenient abortion, and they weren't even on the list. And so he's like, do you see how like they lied because Trump doesn't like Gavin Newsom? And I was like, oh shit, you're right. Then Candace Owens talked shit on Harry Styles and accused Harry Styles of being a pedophile. And that I'm in love with Harry Styles. I've been in love with him for like since 2011. So I knew that wasn't true. I know how many hairs that man has on his head. This is my Harry Styles pillow. I love this man. And so when she was talking shit, when she said that, and I told my fiance, and he was like, do you see how like everybody QAnon goes after is marginalized? They're either a person of color, they're of the LGBTQIA plus, or they're a woman. Like, notice how no billionaire white men are ever on that on the list of conspiracy theories. And then I went, shit, it's all a lie. They fucking got me, god damn it. And so I deconstructed MAGA, which was short lived. It was like a year or two. And then I went, well, shit, MAGA's heavily geared towards Christianity. And so I was kind of thinking about that in the back of my mind. I was like, what about Christianity? Why are they catering so towards Christianity? Like, what about that makes that connection? Around this time, I get kicked out of church because I don't want to have an affair with my worship leader. And then I'm attending college. So all of this stuff's kind of compiling. I get a degree in psychology. Now all of this stuff's kind of adding up. I'm watching a lot more religious documentaries. I watched the Duggar documentary about the IBLP cult. And I remember around the time I was watching it, I had a student with an intellectual disability, 10 years old, pass away. And she had been my student for 5 years. And it was like it really messed me up. And I remember that was towards the end of my religion, my deconstruction. Keep in mind, all this other stuff's going on. I'm in school and I'm at a church. I remember I was on her hospital bedside and I said, God, you say to tell a mountain jump and it will jump if you have faith of a mustard seed. And I'm over here with the faith of a mountain. So I know you can heal her, right? She obviously didn't make it. I had oil from Israel and I kind of dabbed it on her finger a little bit. And I was like, this is from the Holy Lamb. This will work. And it didn't work. And around that same time, I'm watching different documentaries, but one that stood out to me was the Duggar one because Josh Duggar is the oldest brother out of the 21 Duggar kids. He essays his sisters and he gets to be a pastor and he's running to be a politician and God never punished him for doing these horrible things. And I said, wait, God, she was nonverbal. Like she had to use something called an eye gaze, a computer you look at to talk because she can't use her hands and she's nonverbal. So she would tell me, Miss Board again, I love you. You know, she would like talk to me like that. And I said, this pure little innocent girl who loves Elmo and all these other things, you take her, but like you don't take the guy that's like a pedophile who got arrested, not for touching his sisters, but he got arrested for watching child porn. So it's like, why don't you do anything with him? So then that was a big thing. But the thing that like broke the camel's back essentially with all this other stuff, I was watching it's a whole thing, but basically somebody from my church was taking his wife to Ken Ham's Ark Encounter or to the Ark display in Kentucky, I think, or is it Kansas? They have a whole Kentucky. It's a replica of the actual Ark. Some guy spent $100 million in building. And somebody from my church took his wife there and I was like, that's insane. We should look up what the tour looks like on YouTube because I can't believe he's taking her there. That's like so embarrassing. We looked it up and the first thing that came up was Bill Nye and Ken Ham, atheist versus young earth creationist debate. And I'm embarrassed to say, I know of Ken Ham. I was a fan of Ken Ham. I've seen him in person multiple times. He would come to my church and talk about how the Bible was made 6,000, the universe was made 6,000 years ago. And my atheist fiance is like, oh, Bill Nye is fabulous. I learned so much from him. I watched him at school all the time. And I was like, well, watch Bill Nye get his ass handed to him because Ken Ham is here. And so we're watching. And there was something about the contrast of seeing a young earth creationist Christian next to a really smart individual. It's fucking troubling to see side by side. So they would ask a question and Bill Nye would just explain all, because I was raised in a Christian school. They didn't teach me science at all. History, I wasn't taught. They taught me that atheists think there's a big fart and then, billions of years ago, and then we laugh at them, right? It's all, I I was taught very fake science. So my fiance has kind of gone through and kind of retaught me what real science says about things. It's been a really nice experience. So Bill Nye's explaining all these things I've never even heard before. And I was like, damn, he sounds smart. That's crazy. And then Ken Ham would be like, you want to know how I know the universe was made 6,000 years ago? I'll show you. Right here. Glory to God. It's right here in the pages. And I remember going, oh, that's not good. That's not a good reason. That's not a good explanation. Bill Nye would go, his whole debate on all these scientific terms. And then Ken Ham would say, try the first page of this book. That kind of traumatized me a little bit. And then what really did it for me was after the debate, Ken Ham took Bill Nye on a tour of the Ark. So we're watching the tour. They have the plaques. Oh, Adam was the first human. And this is how we know the universe there was a flood. This is how we know. Every plaque, Bill Nye says, that's incorrect because we know science tells us blah, 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 blah. The ice layers, things like that. There couldn't be this many winners, right? I mean, there couldn't have been, this tiny amount of winners when we see this many layers in the ice and things like that. And I just remember going, this is really bad. And then they're touring. There's a youth group following them. There's a pastor. And this fucking pastor was wearing a Home Depot orange shirt. And I mean, no offense to Alabama or any of those places, but kind of sound like he was like super duper maybe from a place like that. I don't know. But he was the pastor. He was in charge of the group, and he just goes up to Bill Nye and yanks on his shirt like a little kid, and just says, "Hey, atheist man, look at the creation." And then I just remember in that moment going, "Oh my God, I'm on the wrong side. Oh, that's embarrassing." And his "look at the creation" Southern voice is burned into my memory forever. And at that point, I was like, oh, fuck, like, God's not real. Once that mother trucker said, "Look at the creation," I said, God's not real. That's insane. I just spent my whole fucking life on a God that's not real. And it was just his stupid Home Depot orange t-shirt. "Look at the creation." It fucking wrecked my faith. It did it. That was it. All these things lingering, right? And maybe that was the last cable that needed to be snapped or whatever, but Jesus Christ, that wrecked me.
I love that. "Look at the trees" essentially deconverted you, like that, because that's what that's what that was. I mean, there's several people out there that are like, but listen, have you seen the trees? How the trees get made, huh? Atheist. And like, it's like, are you serious? I don't understand what this is supposed to prove. Oh man, that's amazing though, and I hope, if you don't mind, but from now on, anytime that anybody's like, look at the trees, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I have only heard about that argument deconverting people, so maybe choose something else.
It turned me. Oh, here it is. This is it. I took a screenshot. I took a screenshot of the moment I became an atheist because it was such a pivotal part of my life. This mother trucker, he said, "Look at the creation." That's him. And I was like, I got a screenshot that moment on the video because oh my Satan Lucifer. He went, "Look at the creation."
Yeah, I remember that debate because I was watching the debate live when it happened at the Creation Museum or Ark Encounter. Yeah,
damn.
And I made a meme while it was going on, and it's this meme where I took Ken Ham's head and I put it on this like 1980s like cartoon character that he had like two energy things coming out of his hands, right? And it says, "It's magic. I ain't got to explain shit." And so it's Ken Ham's head on this like cartoon body, and it's like, "It's magic. I ain't got to explain shit." And that summarizes the entire debate of Ken Ham versus Ken.
It did.
Yeah.
That motherfucking debate did it for me. It undid 27 years of being indoctrinated with that goddamn motherfucker pastor. And then at the very end, there's all these adults screaming at him, right? Bill Nye screaming at him. There's this little girl that goes up to him, like tiny, and then she goes up to him. She goes, "I'm not supposed to like you. I'm supposed to like Ken Ham," my parents said. And then Bill Nye kind of gets down on her eye level a little bit because he's a kid scientist, right? And he goes, "Do me a favor, please, and please go to college, please." And then in that moment, it like broke my little heart, and I was like, I saw myself as a little Christian girl through her, and like, now I'm in college, and now I'm learning how to be a human on this earth without believing in magic for the first time in my life. And I really resonated with that. So the creation with that, like me being in the shoes of that little girl, and Bill Nye being like, "Go to college." And I'm like, shit, Bill Nye is what basically turned me into an atheist. There's a lot of people that have helped with my deconstruction journey, but I would say Bill Nye and my fiance totally did it. And this motherfucker with the orange shirt. But yeah, that's, honestly, if you don't mind me saying, like, that's why I chose Born Again Atheist as my name, because when you're born again Christian, the whole point is like you die to your old, sinful, disgusting, used up, dirty tissue, dirty pad self, and you're raised to the newness of righteousness. And as an atheist, I'm born again because I'm having to relearn what the fuck, where the origins of the universe, where it originated, where we actually came from, evolution for the first time, psychology, different cultures. I'm like having to relearn this all as like now a 30-year-old. I have a degree now. I got my degree, but my end of my 20s, I'm having to learn all this shit for the first time. And so that's why I'm born again atheist. And I love mocking Christianity. So I thought that would make them upset. So I'm happy and they're mad, which makes me more happy. I'm double happy.
Yeah. No, I totally get that sentiment. Now, one thing that I ask a lot of people is to sort of, if you could, hypothetically, if you could speak to a younger version of yourself, or just, somebody that's deconverting out of one of these high control religions, looking back on that, what kind of advice would you give yourself? Like, whether you're, deep in it or you're just now kind of coming out of it, like what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Run. Run. It's not worth it. It's only worth it. You're gonna find a man who's very progressive and he's gonna help you in life and you're gonna love him to death. Find him somehow. Avoid all the church shit. It's not worth it. You're gonna save yourself a lot of heartbreak. Go get that degree. Go advocate for human rights. Understand that it is a patriarchal religion, which means you will always be in danger. Please go get a degree. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. You will be better off. Because a part of my deconstruction, I'm recently figuring out, is being a Christian put my health in jeopardy. I went to the doctor recently because I was anti-medicine, right, with all this conspiracy stuff, and they were like, "You're really bad. Like, you are one step away from cancer," and so now we have to do all these things to kind of correct all the stuff that happened to you. And I can't really go into detail much about what happened, but it's a lot, and it's due to Christianity. Christianity basically almost gave me cancer, which is fucking insane. So I would tell myself, prioritize your health. You're going to be better off for it. It took one trip to the doctor to reverse 13 years of being miserable every second of the day. One doctor trip, one, to reverse my health. I have more energy. I don't have any issues like I did before. One trip. And so I would tell myself, stop engaging in conspiracy theories. It's harming you. It's harming your brain, harming your health. Go get an education. Find your fiance and then figure it out and then leave. I would tell myself that. Also, this whole like listen twice as much as you speak. Treat yourselves the way you want to be treated. Don't forgive them 77 times. Very harmful way of thinking. Extremely harmful to forgive those who do horrible things to you. Learn boundaries and learn that this religion is not for you. It is to harm you. That's what I would tell myself. Yeah. And And I'd probably, honestly, if I could sum it up really quickly, I'd probably just say, look at the creation. I'd probably say that. And then maybe that would have sped it up a little bit.
And then what kind of advice would you give anybody that is like, I guess maybe either on the cusp of deconverting from religion, or just recently deconverted from religion? Maybe not yourself necessarily, but just, any advice you can give anybody out there that might be watching this and be newly deconverted or on the verge of it.
If you're wondering what you should do, if you're on the fence, I urge you to follow deconstruction creators, watch the knowledge that they bring to the table. Godless Engineer is fabulous. There's a million people on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram that are just really good. Watch that. But if you really want to speed up the process, watch atheist versus Christianity debates. That is the quickest way to go. This religion is looking pretty bad, because you'll quickly realize once you have an educated person next to somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, it will make you stop believing really fast to see the contrast. It took Bill Nye next to Ken Ham for me to see the contrast. When you go to a church and you're manipulated by the music and the pastor's horrible jokes and the lights, you're not going to be able to see that there's some issues there. If you put them side by side, it's going to be very transparent. What side that you're going to identify with and what side you're going to want to lean towards. When you have somebody saying, yeah, the Bible says it's 6,000 years old, trust in God. The science doesn't say that. So what part of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the intellectual, I could say intellectually dishonest, but just uneducated side? Or do you want to be on the side of, truth and knowledge and, education? So please watch debates. That's the quickest way to deconstruct, is watch debates. That's why I love doing them so much, because Ken Ham and Bill Nye's debate is what turned me into an atheist. That's why I love to do it every night, because I want people to turn against God. That's my goal in life, I want them to blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, I think it's great to see the contrast, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I totally agree about that. And I think that, do you get, do you ever get the criticism that it's like, oh, you just hate God, and so you want to destroy or kill God? Like, what do you say if somebody comes at you with that?
So my prompt, I use the same prompt every night because the types of issues I like to discuss fit really well in the prompt. I say God is evil. And the way I explain it is, I am an atheist. God is evil because God is evil. I don't believe in him, but I think he's written as an evil character. And because he's written as an evil character, a fiction character, it's had negative implications on society in our history and today. And that's where I can bring in all of the racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, hatred towards immigrants, all this kind of stuff. It ties in really well. And then I say, he's not real, but at the end of the day, you think he is, and that's my issue. You are the one causing harm. You're the one spreading hatred. It's a hate group. It is. Get over it. So he cannot be real, and I can absolutely be pissed off that he's written as such a bastard, because it does affect people today. So I do get that a lot, and I'm like, if you were out of politics, if you were out of everybody's business, then I'd probably find a new hobby. I don't know, but it's so devastating on society.
Yeah, and I mean, I can definitely see with your background in high control cults and everything why you would, really, I guess, see a lot of value in going at it the way that you do. Speaking of how you engage in this, this is the part that I'm really kind of curious about, because you are masterful, I have to say, at allowing them to cook themselves. You don't understand. Like, you just sit there and you allow them to make themselves look bad. And I wish that I had that kind of, I guess, maybe presence, but I know that presence is probably because you are a woman and you are debating these mogs. And that dynamic right there, I think, is really kind of what drives a lot of that. And obviously they're not going to be treating me that way, but so I have to work a little bit harder to get them to cook themselves. But
yeah, you do have to work harder in that. Yes.
But so, I mean, do you find that that's like a very common thing? Like, just that all you have to do is just sort of exist, and you get that kind of reaction?
A couple things contribute. First of all, I do have a degree in psychology, so I'm really good at manipulation. Number two, I was raised as a Christian for 14 years. There's not a thing I haven't heard a Christian say. I know how they think. I understand the psychology of a Christian point blank. They all think they're all unique and special. It's not fucking true. They're copy paste. I know exactly where their arguments are going to go. I know how they're going to respond. I know the type of tone I'm going to get from them just by them saying hello. They're very fucking predictable. And so my favorite thing to do to get people to see how evil Christianity is letting them just fucking talk. And I can manipulate them in certain directions. That's why I love the God is evil prompt, because that is the quickest way to make somebody look like a fucking bastard. Because I'll bring up, oh, God hates women. And I'll bring up a million verses to prove my claim. All of Paul's letters saying women shut up, don't have authority, cover your head, submit to your husband. The curse is the reason why we can't have equality. Women are sold into sex slavery, And then I basically, if I kind of can get them to go in a corner like the sex slavery, they'll just say like, yeah, and I'm okay with that. Or, yeah, it was okay back then. Or women liked being sex slaves. They just say the craziest shit. And then I can kind of see where they're going. So either I put the mic down, I make a big expression, I just let them talk. Especially when they're starting to talk like violent, like once they start getting insulty with me. I know if I put the mic down, they'll escalate what they're saying because I'm not yelling at them, and so they're going to want to push harder and harder. So I have like a bunch of videos of dudes being like, you liked being raped and rape was fun and God wanted you to be raped. And then I thought to myself, if I put the mic down, they're going to escalate it even crazier. And then I put the mic down and they go, oh, I'm going to rape you next. And it's like, yeah, so that's exactly how it goes. They want attention. A lot of them come up. They sexualize me a lot. They do all these things. And so I know I can easily trap them with, oh, God says, like, Phil bros are horrible, right? Morality is objective. Okay, morality is objective. Do you think it's objectively okay to, kill rainbow people, the LGBTQIA plus? Well, if God says so, then yes. You know what I mean? So it's easy to, when these arguments, I know how they think. So I know their feelings on the rainbow community, and they'll say things like, I don't hate them, I just hate everything about them. I can kind of lean in and push them on. Okay, so you don't hate them, but what do you think about this, and this? Well, I would want them all straight. So I would want to eliminate them as a group. Okay, exactly. So, honestly, when guys come up and say, how do you not remember me? And I'm like, because you sound like the last 50 guys I've talked to. That's how I don't fucking remember you. You all sound the same. And then that's another thing. Even if I do remember them, if I pretend I don't, then they get extra hurt. So I know they're going to be more angry. So I just do different things like that. I love humiliating men. It's my favorite thing to do. It brings me so much joy. And I'm so lucky to have, I'm so lucky to have accumulated, maybe is the word I'm looking for, a beautiful community that comes back every night, who are a part of the LGBTQIA plus, which I freaking adore, who are feminist or allies or, in all these marginalized groups, who come back because they love that we basically are crucifying these dudes on a platform. And I just think it's really cool that I found a bunch of people, or people maybe, I don't know, they just have come to the community because they love the idea of mogs being humiliated, which I think they need to be. I mean, they've been in charge too long and they need to be humbled. And so I use my knowledge on my knowledge of psychology on how they think, and I use that against them. The watching porn thing, they all watch porn. And so I love humiliating them in that way. And I go, well, you're a chain yanker, right? Because then but when you admit you watch porn, you're basically just saying you touch yourself for fun. And that is a crazy thing to tell strangers. So it's a way to be like, if you're going to say freaky shit, I'm going to make you feel embarrassed by it, because I was never able to tell the guy at church, that's freaky that you keep admitting that you're touching yourself, right? So now I do everything that I wanted to do as a Christian, but I knew I wasn't allowed to. I do it now. And it's great, and they get embarrassed. And unfortunately, that's led to my guest request box being empty all the time, because nobody wants to have conversations with me. So when I do get them, I go really crazy, because it's like the one person I'll have a night.
Yeah. So there's, I don't mean to like pat myself on the back too much here, but there was a video I posted of a TikTok conversation I had with a guy. It was November 5th. It's called "This is Why Christians Get Destroyed Over Biblical Morality and Women." And I swear, like, I don't know if the guy was trying to make innuendos, but like the entire time he was making these like what I felt were obvious sexual innuendos, and I did not know if I could take him seriously, because it just all the time, like everything that he said just was like, this sounds perverted, but he could be serious. And so I don't know. Anyways.
No, exactly. Just they give you this much and you sprint a mile, and it's delicious because, you know, it's an over sexualized cult. They talk a lot about, they normalize a lot of inappropriate behavior that in the regular world you would be like fired or publicly shamed. So it's good to put them on blast, because it's so fucking freaky that they're able to say the shit they do, get away with the shit that they do, tell strangers that they love them all the time, things like that. That's another thing. When a guy comes up and says, I love you and I love the chat, I go, prove it. And then I put a fun song on and I said, show how much you love us, choose a lucky winner in the chat and send them some money. So I immediately punish them for doing things that are really inappropriate. You can't tell strangers you love them and then also say, like, I want all rainbow people to fucking, unalive or whatever. It's just ridiculous. So any chance to embarrass them, I do. And then it shows the debate's not for me to change their mind. The debate is to show everybody watching, here's the contrast between a normal individual and somebody who is heavily indoctrinated and absolutely loco in the cabeza. And that makes people go, Christianity is not going to be my religion. So it's important to highlight that.
Yeah, I'm wondering, have you ever, like, in bringing up the different ways that the Bible and God in general is like very negative towards women. One thing that I like to bring up, and I'm wondering if you've ever brought it up too, is trying to get them to explain how Mary wasn't raped in Luke chapter 1.
100%.
Yeah. I found that subject in general, challenging them on that really exposes how little a lot of Christians understand consent. Because I've tried to explain to us, like, post hoc rationalization of this act is not consent, and it's like they just don't get it. Do you get the same kind of reaction?
1,000,000,000%. Yeah, Mary was hella raped for a couple different reasons. Like, Jewish scholars agree that because a girl is deemed a woman when she has her period, she could have been anywhere between the ages of like 10 and 16. So no consent there. But then also it says, you will bore a son and his name will be Jesus. And she's like, okay, there was no consent there. And he totally freaking wrecked her up, super duper raped her. And she was a kid and she just had to say yes. And they act like it's consent. It says, you will bore a son and his name will be Jesus. No, there is absolutely no consent there. You're 100% right. There's a lot of other non-consenting verses, but the Mary one is a great one to bring up. Absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I've actually got on my channel, again, I know I'm patting myself on the back here, but I do have a few videos with Dr. Jennifer Bird. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
I did watch, I started watching the video with her. Yes, today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Yes.
Yeah. She's great, and I'm still trying to read through Marriage in the Bible, but it blew my mind when I read her book about how in the Old Testament there is no Hebrew word for like marriage. It's always like seizing or taking possession of, and all this stuff. And like that right there, I feel like there's like it, bringing that up to a Christian who's like, oh well, no, they got married. It's like no. He seized her, and the way he seized her was to rape her. And like I found that Christians just don't want to engage with that.
The way they justify the seas passage, and you're referring to Deuteronomy?
I think that's one of them.
22.
I think. Yeah.
They always say, seize. Like you could seize a sword. And I said, first of all, the idea of grabbing a sword very aggressively is also not going to help your claim. But when it's the same word used when she was actually being assaulted, they were both being assaulted, but when she was being assaulted, it was pretty obvious, like yelling for help and nobody was there to help her. And it's the same word used in the next passage, in the next verse. What the fuck? What else would it be? Because the consent, when it was adultery and they were consenting to the adulterous relationship, was in 22:22, and it says they slept with one another. And then by the time you get to Deuteronomy 22:27-28, it says to seize, to forcibly hold down. And it's like, why would the word change if it was consent? That makes no freaking sense. And so that one really bothers me to bring up in debates, because men will do whatever they can to try to make rape look like normal in that regard, and it like pisses me off, because they just don't understand consent. You're exactly right. They don't understand it. And Deuteronomy 21 says marrying a captive woman, when you kill her whole family, you can take her if you think she's hot, shave her head, and then she'll be your bride after mourning for her parents for a month. And they're like, yeah, she wants it. What? You know what I mean? It's like nobody would want that. It's like, why wouldn't your brain understand that would be a problem?
I'm kind of curious, and but we're kind of getting to the end of the interview here, so I'm going to let you shill yourself one more time before we go, obviously.
Perfect.
I'm wondering, is there any one particular thing that any of these mogs have said to you that's really stuck out and is like the wildest thing or wildest incident that has ever happened so far?
Yes. Yes, it was so disturbing. Now, listen, I hear disturbing shit every goddamn day. I talk to them 6 to 8 hours a day. It's disturbing as shit. But there is one that was so disturbing. I had to like reach out to a therapist to say, am I allowed to repost this, or should I just keep it to myself? And they're like, you probably should keep it to yourself. Like the actual clip. And then it was so disturbing that it like made me physically nauseous for like 3 days. I like physically was like ill. This guy was like, I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I have a hard time. Me and my parents, like, they're mad at me right now. So I'm living in my car. And I'm like, take care of yourself. You don't have to live in your car. Go home, make amends, suck it up, and that way you're not in danger. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. It would be hard to make up with my parents. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because like I've had a relationship for about like 10 years, like a sexual relationship with my sister. And then I just remember putting my mic down, and I went, and I couldn't talk. My mic was down, I couldn't talk. And then I immediately started feeling ill. And he goes, yeah, she's very jealous when I have girlfriends. I'm jealous when she has boyfriends. And he's like, it's been going on for like 10 years. It's been on and off with my sister. 100% biological, same parents. And when I put my mic down, he goes, what's the big deal? I've told this to so many people. Nobody has reacted like you. You're overreacting.
Don't tell me he was from Alabama. Please, we don't need that stain.
He was. Get over it. No, I'm just kidding. You know exactly where he was. I don't have to say. Cue in the banjos. I
I
don't know where that was from.
Yeah, I can guarantee you, he sounded like, "Listen, I've had an on and off relationship with my sister." Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
exactly how he sounded.
complicated. It was the way he described it with his voice. It was so gross. It was the way he went into more detail than I did, and he just said I was overreacting. And it just made me realize Christians have such horrendous sensibilities. They'll feel really grossed out by like going to a gay friend's wedding, and they'll feel like that's the worst thing in the world, and then they'll like go and like rape a kid, fucking do their sister, and they're like, glory to God, It's like, no! The sensibility are fucked up, and that's what pisses me off. And that's because the priorities are all fucked up. That's another reason why I like to expose them on the debates. I like to have debates, but I like to expose their bullshit because it's completely unacceptable. They are not your average person. Their brains are not like yours. And I think it's important for the world to know that they're so fucked up. That was the most disturbing one. And I've had some pretty horrendous things told to me.
Yeah, every time you post like a new clip of these crazy assholes, like I definitely consume that immediately because it's like, I know this is going to be something that I've just never heard before, and like,
yeah. They're crazy. They are. I had a guy say he wants to cut my face off and fuck my mom with it. He said so because I don't love God, and the fucking
does that mean?
I don't know. He's crazy. He was actually crazy, but he has a fear God tattoo on his chest and missing teeth from Alabama. I don't know. Just kidding. No, he's from another country, but no, but even the sister one topped it though. It was so disturbing that I like felt uncomfortable posting it. I was like, I should probably skip on that one. Because the things he was saying was really a lot. I saved the video though, in case I'm feeling crazy one day. But yeah, I get told stuff like that all the time. People always go, "Are you okay?" And I was like, here's the thing. This stuff was already told to me when I was attending church. The only difference is I wasn't allowed to complain about it or talk about it. So this is kind of like a fun way of just kind of already listening to things I would have been listening to if I still attended a church. It's like a fun way of like making Christianity look really bad just by letting them talk. So Christians can suck it when they said I was making up those stories about weird Christian behavior. They're weird. Get over it. You're part of a weird cult. Yeah. And that's a hate group. I don't know what else to tell you. You're weird. The guy that got my account taken down, truck you. You're weird. Anyway.
So one of the things I guess I've still got a little bit of one of the, like, I guess it's the shock reaction kind of thing in me. Cause I do like to sort of, whenever I'm in a conversation with a Christian and they say something rather deplorable about stuff, or they say something very mean towards me. One of the things that I like to pull out to throw them off kilter is I'm like, wait a second. Hold on. Do you suck Jesus's dick with that mouth? Which leads me into what nearly made Ray Comfort vomit. I don't know so here, a little bit of backstory here on this. Ray Comfort put out feelers one time for an atheist to come on and have a conversation, right? So I was like, I'll reached out, got feedback from him directly from Ray Comfort, and I was able to talk to Ray Comfort, and I'm actually featured in one of his quote unquote movies. And it's it's aptly named Amazing Atheist, okay? Where he juxtaposes a very like nice and friendly atheist person and me. I'm the villain and the other guy's the good guy. And
of course.
Yeah. Ray and I had a fine conversation. The entire thing was very cordial and everything like that. And then at the very end, he gets like deep and serious and he's like, little did I know, this is Ray Comfort talking. He's like, little did I know that John had made one of the most deplorable videos that almost made me vomit. And I'm like, which one was that? And I found the one that it had to be.
He never said what it was?
He didn't. I had to figure it out.
It.
So do you know those fake bills that like, it's like $1,000 bill or something like that, and it's got some kind of like religious thing on it that you're supposed to like give to somebody, and they're like, oh, all this money, and then it's like, oh no, it's a sermon.
It's absolute bullshit. Yep, it's like 1 million prayers for you, some shit.
Yeah. So he put out a video. It was in square format. He put out a video where he was like promoting like handing those out and whatnot. And so I reviewed that video, and it's still up on my channel. And at one point in it, I know the exact point that almost made him throw up. At this point, I compare. I compare prayer to sucking Jesus' dick. I didn't just say it though; I pantomimed it, and that's the only thing that I can think of that would have made him like, nearly vomit. And which that's not even like the worst thing that I've done on my channel.
Oh my God, they're so goddamn sensitive.
Yeah. So I totally get the, how sensitive they are, and like the, the shock value and everything like that. Like the one guy in the video, he was talking about getting hit with the Lord so hard or something like that. And that he started speaking in tongues. I'm like, oh damn.
Filled in the spirit.
Yeah, he hit it so hard you started speaking in tongues. That's crazy. So,
I'm sorry, but like, come on, stop talking. I don't know. Like, what are we supposed to do? Just let you say shit like that? Like, Jesus filled you, and we're just supposed to be like, Come on, you got on your knees for Jesus, and he filled you.
Yeah.
And we're just supposed to be like, God damn it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so Born Again, so glad to have you on today. If you will, please let everybody know where, they can find you and everything like that. I highly suggest your lives. They're always animated. I wish I had the kind of energy you did, but I'm a 40-year-old old fuck. And so like, I'm not as energetic, but
it's me trusting medicine again. That's what it is.
Oh yeah. But yes, definitely tell people where they can find you and everything like that. Cause I think everybody needs to know that.
Oh, very sweet. Once again, thank you so much, Godless Engineer, for having me on. I love your show. I've been following you for a while. I love all the guests you have. All of your guests, including yourself, are the reason, are a part of my deconstruction journey. So from the bottom of my evil atheist Jezebel heart, thank you. I really appreciate you. And I know this is about my outro, but when I was watching Godless Engineer today, I was so happy to hear you just only talking about feminism, women's rights, and the patriarchy. I was actually really happy, and it made me feel very I was already excited to come on because I love your work, but it made me like really excited to know that like you don't just talk about the things that benefit you, which I know you didn't, but it was cool to hear like you spending the whole life just hyping up women. So a lot of respect for you. I'm on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is like where I do my debates. We do debates every night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do the night shift, so it is a very late. So if any of you guys are night owls and you can't sleep at night, everybody in the coven, we call the community, we are all nocturnal. We like all turn into vampires, and we just debate all night long. So if that time schedule interests you, come to TikTok. We're there every single night. We don't take nights off because I love destroying mogs. It's super fun. So if you're interested in atheist religious debates, come hang out. It's so fun. We mock them. It's a good time. We spend a lot of time advocating for LGBTQI plus rights, women's rights, marginalized groups as a whole. We get really pissed about the Trump administration. So if these things interest you, come hang out. And it's very lighthearted. Deconstruction is fairly hard. It can be taxing on people. So we always try to make the environment very light. We're always laughing. We're always having a good time. So if that interests you, come hang out with us. I do my debate highlights on YouTube, Born Again Atheist. The best of the best, or the worst of the worst, if you want to call it. The funniest or the worst, go on YouTube. So go check out the highlights. And like I said, we do debates on TikTok. So Anyway, I'm so happy to be here. This has been such a blast. I adore the deconstruction community. So thank you for letting me be a part of your channel. As a cisgendered straight woman, I do appreciate that cis men, or just men in general, I guess I should say, are allowing women on your platforms. I think it's cool. Like, fuck the patriarchy. So thank you for having me.
No, yeah, there's been like a lot of women creators that I've seen come through and not really find a lot of support. So I'm trying to prop up anybody that's creating content, is out putting themselves out there. I know that it's 10 times harder, for y'all than it is for me. Although I do get the occasional insults thrown my direction. It is in no way representative of what y'all have to go through. So anything I can do to support y'all and support everybody in the community like that, I'm definitely going to do. But again, Born Again, yeah. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, Born Again's links are going to be down in the description. If you like TikTok, you're on TikTok, definitely go and check her out. Anytime that she's live, it's always a party. And I have to say, I love that that your sort of branding is around the coven, like your audience, your group is the coven.
They're phenomenal. They're the best.
Yeah, I think it's very unique. I think that it just adds a lot of character to your presence. So, kudos for that. And everybody, again, follow Born Again Atheist. She's awesome. I'm gonna try to have you on the line here soon. If this posts before I'm able to get you on the line.
I'd be so excited. That is so freaking cool. Okay, amazing. Yes, I would love that.
All right. Well, so everybody follow Born Again, and I will see everybody later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, everybody.